Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is now 6:30. It's Monday, January the 27th. We're at Alberto and Celia Barrera Elementary cafeteria. I'm going to call this meeting to order. I'm going to do roll call. Dr. B.
Present.
Mrs. Lopez.
Present.
Mr. Castillo.
Present.
Mr. Villarreal.
Here.
Mr. Ramirez.
Present.
And myself, Lazar Velasquez, present as well. We do have a quorum. Dr. B, can you help us out with the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. President, I'd like to address the audience, just a brief message.
Okay, yes, it's okay.
Hey, welcome back. I'd like to welcome everyone back, and it's great to see everyone tonight. Before getting underway, I want to share what I consider to be good news. And in reference to my health, my exams came out stable, which it's really good to know. Okay, they are stable for at least at this point, and this is because of your constant prayers. Of course, God, your constant prayers and the support that you've given me year after year. And there's no doubt that all this is because of all your prayers. So I want to thank you very, very much. And I know that not all of us share this feeling, so I'd like to direct myself to Mr. Basilio Villarreal. I know this is very hurtful for me, but it's been bothering me, and it's important to let you know that I was crushed with the statement that you made, basically a death wish, that I would be dead by December, and I would not be here in January. And that
Ma'am, that's an absolute lie, ma'am. If you're going to make accusations, ma'am, that's an absolute lie.
Okay.
My father died of cancer. My sister died of cancer. That's the worst thing I would ever wish on anybody, ma'am. And stop making accusations, ma'am.
I am not it was hurt. It was hurt. And it's just hard to believe. And all I want you to know is that God has the last words, and that I will be praying for peace and compassion in your heart. So, thank you.
Ma'am, I'm going to respond to that. My father died of cancer. My sister died of cancer. That's a horrible disease. I don't wish that on anybody. And to accuse of anybody like that, I do not wish that on anybody. And let's stop playing politics tonight. Let's just have a good time and enjoy these kids.
I'm the least of politicians.
That's what I want. Section 3, approval of minutes, except for item I of the November board meeting. Do we have a motion on section 3? Do we have a motion on section 3, approval of minutes?
I so move.
We have a motion by Dr. B.
I second.
We have a second by Mrs. Lopez. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Section 4, any public forum? Item number 1, recognitions.
Dr. Montiel, if you would please come forward as well. Good evening, Mr. Eleazar Velasquez, Board President, members of the Board, Ms. Vilma Garza, Superintendent, and members of our community. As principal of the Preparatory for Early College High School, and on behalf of our partner, South Texas College, who is represented this evening by Campus Administrator Dr. Arturo Montiel, I am honored to present a certificate to our students who successfully earned their associate's degree in December of 2019. These students are to be commended, not only for completing the required 60 hours, but for also graduating early. Most students in early college high school programs will graduate in May of their senior year. Their presence this evening symbolizes 4 years of hard work that began in the 9th grade and included fall, spring, summer 1, and summer 2 semesters. Congratulations to all students, and if I could, I would like for their parents to please stand and be recognized. Okay, first, Araceli Alafa. Cody Bravo. Araceli, please stay up here to take a picture. Thank you. Daphne Flores. Cody Galvan. Ramon Garay. Juan Jacob. Luis Ramirez. And Oneida Vera. We did have several other students who could not be here this evening. They were busy working on some homework and some projects. And words alone do not express how extremely proud my staff and I, my teachers, all campus staff, how proud we are of these students for their hard work and commitment to our early college high school. Thank you very much and congratulations again.
Congratulations to all the students and parents. We at RGCCISD and the Board of Trustees are so honored to have your students in our district. Again, you make our district shine. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Ms. Vilma Garza, Superintendent. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ray Ramirez, Director of Athletics for the school district, and tonight, it gives me great pleasure to recognize the success and accomplishments of our student athletes at Rio Grande City High School, Gruya High School, Veterans Middle School, Ringgold Middle School, and Gruya Middle School as well. We'll begin with Rio Grande City High School. I'll invite Coach Mireles and the football team to come forward, please. As you all know, the Rattlers this year accomplished something that had not been done in 35 years, and that is to win the district title. What's most impressive is that not only did the Rattlers, varsity Rattlers win the title, but the JV football team and the freshman team also won district titles. So congratulations to all teams. All three teams finished with a combined record of 26 wins and 5 losses. So that's a great accomplishment, and congratulations to all coaches and to our athletes. Ladies and gentlemen, your Rio Grande City Rattlers. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Coach. A lot of athletes cannot be here today because they're also involved with other sports or commitments. So again, the ones who showed up, thank you all so much for being here tonight. Next up, also like to recognize the boys and girls cross country team from Rio Grande City High School. If they're here tonight, please come forward. They cannot be here. We had Alex Canales and Alex Canales, let me just read a little bit about it. Alex Canales is a junior, and he's a two-time state qualifier. This year, he also qualified to regional, second place finisher at district. Unfortunately, he took a fall at the regional meet and was not able to finish the race, but I'd like to also mention that about Alex. He's one of our outstanding athletes at Rio Grande City High School, so congratulations to him. Okay. On the girls' side, we had Destiny Gonzalez. She's a sophomore, and for the first time, she qualified to regional as well. She placed 10th at district, qualifying her to the regional meet. She placed 20th at the many big meets throughout the season, and again, she accomplished her goal of finishing with a time of 20 minutes and 9 seconds in a 3.1 mile course. So congratulations to her as well. She's not here tonight, but I'd like just to mention that as well for her. So Destiny Gonzalez. For Rio High School tennis, Kayla Peña, is she here tonight? Kayla Peña was our MVP for the girls tennis, team tennis. She's a 2-year first team all-district. Kayla has qualified to regionals for the past 2 years as well, and placed in many tournaments first place. She's an all-around great athlete, and I'd like to congratulate her as well. She cannot be here tonight, but congratulations to her and her coach, Rafael Vasquez. Next up, we'll continue with Gruya High School. Coach Gonzalez, if you're here, please come forward. Coach Gonzalez, our head coach at Gruya High School. Again, most of our athletes are busy doing other sports. In a smaller school, of course, we share our athletes. So we're happy to have a young man here with us today to represent. Gruya finished 3rd place in district play this year. They advanced to the playoffs for the 8th time in the 10-year history of the Gator that's been in existence. We are very proud of our young men and our coaches for doing a great job. And also our freshman team went undefeated in district play, so they also won district. So congratulations to all our coaches and athletes and our staff at Gruya High. Next up for Gruya High, we have our freshman volleyball team. If you're here, please, Coach Jones and athletes, please come forward. Our freshman volleyball team. Our freshman volleyball team did a great job this year as well. They finished as district champions with an overall team record of 13 wins and 1 loss. Our team consists of Dayani Lopez, Kirabel Garza, Kaylin Jimenez, Diani Lopez, Yoali de la Garza, Litzy Lopez, Anicet Villarreal, Briseida Garcia, Alexi Arredondo, and Annette Garcia. And again, congratulations to Coach Jones, Coach Gomez, and the entire Lady Gator volleyball team. Congratulations, ladies.
I would like to add that I'm proud that Gruya alumni, my father and my mother, original Gruya High School recipients from back then, that we have our own high school. We're proud to represent Gruya.
Thank you, Coach. Congratulations to all the Lady Gators. Thank you, ladies. Next up from Grue High, we also have our Lady Gators cross-country team. If you're here, Coach Ramirez and Lady Gators, please come forward. I don't think they're here tonight, but let me just say that they also finished second place at district this year in 32-4A. They advanced to regional, and we had one young lady, Odette Fernandez, that led the team to a great second place finish, and she also qualified to state also for a second year in a row. So congratulations to them and the whole cross-country team and coaches. Thank you, ladies. Next up, we'll move on to Ringgold Middle School. We had our boys cross-country team, 7th grade team. Coach Garcia, Tito Garcia, is he here tonight? I don't see him here tonight, but let me just say that they also finished as district champions, and there were hard work and dedication. Again, their commitment to running every single day, 2+ miles, got them to win the district title. So again, on behalf of the coaching staff and the administration, congratulations to all boys. Thank you. Next, we move on to Grue Middle School. Our Grue Middle School football 8th grade team, Coach Lara. Coach Lara, I believe, is coaching basketball at this time. So let me just say they also won district in 8th grade, and it's the second time in a row, back-to-back district champions. Congratulations to Coach Lara, staff, and athletes. Next up, our Grue Middle School cross-country, 7th grade girls. Are they here tonight? This team is coached by Coach Almaguer, Yerich Almaguer. They ran with pride, they ran as a pack, and they ran with one goal in mind, and that is to represent Grue Middle School in a community. After all their hard work and commitment, it paid off, and they brought back the district title to Grue Middle School. Congratulations to these young ladies and Coach Almaguer. Next up, Grue Middle School volleyball, 8th grade team. They're present here tonight. This team is coached by Alexandra Rodriguez. In 2019, the season ended with an overall record of 8 wins and 0 losses. And overall, great season, no injuries. And again, coaches like to congratulate all the coaching staff and, of course, administration for their support. Congratulations to our volleyball district champions. Last but not least, our Veterans Middle School teams. To recognize tonight, we have our Veterans Middle School football team. Coach Nicolas Castillo, Marco Martinez, Hubert Trevino. If you're here, please come forward. Our 7th grade football team, again, won district championships this year. They went undefeated the whole season. We are proud of these athletes for always exemplifying excellence throughout the season. So again, on behalf of our coaches, Coach Trevino and his staff, and athletes, administration and staff, congratulations to our Veterans Middle School football team. Good job, man. Next up, our 7th grade volleyball team, Coach Pam Alanis. Is she here tonight? Coach Alanis did a fantastic job as well. The young ladies here are present tonight, are district champions. They finished with a perfect season also, came out with victories in tournaments play as well as non-district play. So again, congratulations to our 7th grade girls volleyball team from Veterans Middle School, district champions. Last but not least, we have our Veterans Middle School 8th grade boys cross-country team, coached by Coach Raul Garza and Ashley Mills. If you're present tonight, please come forward. This talented group of young men pushed each other every day to never give up on their overall goal of being district champions. They finished with a perfect record this season, and again came out as district champions for the 2019-2020 school year. Congratulations to Coach Garza, Coach Mills, and the entire cross-country team. So on behalf of our entire athletic department staff, coaches, parents, and athletes board, Ms. Garza, I would like to thank you all for supporting us, and thank you all, and hope to see you all in the spring with more recognition for our athletes. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Mr. Eleazar Velasquez, Board President, members of the Board, Ms. Vilma Garza, our Superintendent, and community members. Teachers influence students in more ways than most people understand, and in an effort to recognize the hard work and dedication of our teachers, we would like to recognize our Teachers of the Month for November and December. We would like to ask all of our principals and our Teachers of the Month for November and December to please come forward.
Go to the middle, don't they?
We're going to call them one by one. They're going to go through here, yes. It's a lot. It's a big group. It's a big group, so we couldn't. Okay. As we call your name, please come forward to receive your recognition by our superintendent and our school board of trustees and our administration. We will call your name simultaneously for November and December. From ACE Elementary, we have Ms. Sofia Benavides.
And for December, we have Marta Vasquez.
For Alberto and Celia Barrera Elementary, we have Ben Benavides for November.
And for December, we have Yunes Villarreal.
For Alto Bonito Elementary for November, we have Ms. Rosa Cota.
And for December, we have Maribel Solis.
For Dr. Mario E. Ramirez Elementary, we have for November Ms. Christian Olivares, Mr. Christian Olivares.
And for December, we have Ms. Linda Lopez.
For For General Ricardo Sanchez Elementary, for November, we have Ms. Lindsay Guerra.
And for December, we have Lisa Garcia.
For Gruya Elementary, for November, we have Socorro Chavana.
And for December, we have Norma De Leon.
For John and Olive Hinojosa Elementary, for November, we have Mario Garza.
And for December, we have Rosabel Garcia.
For La Union Elementary, for November, we have Sandra Bazan, who could not be present with us today.
And for December, we have Julie Sainz.
For Ringgold Elementary, we have Ms. Isa Priscilla Weiler for November.
And for December, we have Linda Guerrero.
For Roque Guerra Elementary, for November, we have Joanne Garcia.
And for December, we have Daniela Garza.
For Ace Middle School now, we have Mr. Roberto Cantu for November.
And for December, we have Hilario Patino.
For Gruya Middle School, we have Dora Rodriguez for November. She could not be present with us today.
And for December, we have Anaí Guerrero.
For Ringo Middle School, we have Ms. Ernestina Gaitan, who could not be present with us today.
And for December, we have Arlene Saldana.
For Veterans Middle School, we have Mrs. Beatriz Peña for November.
And for December, we have Ana Correa.
For the Early College High School, we have Mr. Juan Quintero for November.
And for December, we have Hilda Elizondo.
For Gruya High School, we have Mr. Manuel Mercado, who could not be present with us today for November.
And for December, we have Sandor Lopez.
For Rio Grande City High School, we have Mr. Roque Vera for November.
And for December, we have Celinda Martinez.
And for the Alternative Center, we have Ms. Claudia Peña for November.
And for December, we have Daniela Garza.
We would like to thank all of our teachers for being amazing teachers and for all that you do to make lifelong impacts on our students. Your words of wisdom guide them and give them courage to chase their dreams. Your imprint lives forever in their hearts and in their minds, and tonight we honor all of you. Congratulations and thank you once again.
Before we proceed, I'd also like to recognize one more student for completing his associate's degree. Guadalupe Hernandez, please come forward.
Good evening, Board President, Board members, Superintendent of Schools, Ms. Vilma Garza, and attending audience. The task of educating more than 5.4 million Texas students can seem overwhelming. As students, we rely on public schools to provide what we will need to succeed in our ever-unfolding future.
While educating us may not be rocket science, it is a complex, demanding responsibility. It is a responsibility that locally elected board members generously accept. You have committed to read reports, learn the laws, understand the community's needs, set thoughtful goals, and wisely handle the district's financial resources.
It isn't just a simple commitment. Besides going through an election, it means being available to hear from concerned parents in the grocery store, at the game, and over the backyard fence. It means committing to the time it takes to do the job right. In short, why would anyone volunteer for this role? Fortunately, in every community, caring adults just like you have signed on for the responsibility and hard work of making our schools the best they can be.
Each January, we pause in our regular activities to say thank you to our school board members. We appreciate your generous sharing of time and energy. Please join us in celebrating School Board Recognition Month by expressing support and gratitude to our school board for launching the next generation of students. At this time, we will have the reading of the proclamation.
Whereas the mission of public schools is to meet the educational needs of all children and to empower them to become competent, productive contributors to a democratic society in an ever-changing world. And whereas local school board members are committed to the children and believe that all children can be successful learners, and that the best education is tailored to the individual needs of the child.
Whereas local school board members work closely with parents, educational professionals, and other community members to create the educational vision we want for our students. And whereas local school board members are responsible for ensuring the structure that provides a solid foundation for our school system.
Whereas local school board members are strong advocates for public education and are responsible for communicating the needs of the school district to the public and the public's expectations to the district. Now, therefore, we do hereby declare our appreciation to the members of the RGCCISD School Board and proclaim the month of January 2020 as School Board Recognition Month. We urge all citizens to join us in recognizing the dedication and hard work of local school board members and in working with them to mold an education system that meets the needs of both today's and tomorrow's children.
On behalf of Rio Grande City CISD, our Superintendent of Schools, Ms. Vilma Garza, will present each school board member with a certificate of appreciation which reads, for dedicated leadership in public education and continuing to serve the children of this community. Please come forward when your name is called. Mr. Eleazar Velasquez, Jr. Mrs. Leticia O. Lopez. Dr. Daria Babineau. Mr. Noé Castillo. Mr. Eduardo Ramirez. And Mr. Basilio D. Varial.
To our RGCCISD school board members, we thank you for the work you do to help students blast off into the future as positive, successful, productive members of the human world.
We have a story about RGCCISD school board members as they represent roaring rockets.
Rockets are powerful. They rise and roar. You are the rockets who help us soar.
Rockets carry students with cool white suits, oxygen helmets, and gravity boots.
The countdown to success. 3, 2, 1, action, blast off. Our journey has begun.
Rockets are fuel in great big tanks, giving us energy for this we give thanks.
Rockets explore through space, they zoom,
reaching as far as the big round moon. You have explored ways to help our district shine. You've made sure resources are all in line.
Your mission is never over. My, you are strong. RGCCISD is where you belong.
You have taken the district to great places. If you don't believe us, just look at our faces. As rockets perform wonders, so do our school board members. With that being said, we have a token of appreciation. May each rocket represent your soaring commitment to our district. Thank you to each one of you for your service to our district.
Thank you, everyone.
It was so awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our rocket.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, students, for an outstanding performance. Thank you, teachers, administrators, and parents for everything that you do. We are honored to be your Board of Trustees. I am so happy and honored to see so much talent in our district. So again, thank you very much, and God bless you all. Oh, I'm sorry.
In the following Veterans Middle School CTE robotics class members, under the direction of Mr. Juan Andrade Jr., will present robots which were created to resemble each of our board members: Crystal Perez, Arturo Peña, Ashley De Souza, Gabriela Limas, Natalia Lopez, and Jaden Perez. A live robot demonstration will be provided by VMS students Derek Pratt and Leo Garcia.
What is that? Did they make them?
To conclude our board recognition, the Veterans Middle School ACE Culinary Arts class, under the direction of Mrs. Bonnie Basan and Mrs. Susie Salinas, have provided board members with delicious cheesecakes.
Oh, thank you very much. How do you know
The
that?
ceramic class, under the direction of Cristina Peña, have also provided a gift. A special thanks goes to Mr. Juan Andrade Jr., manufacturing engineer, VMS principal, Mr. Enrique Cantu, Gruya Middle School Principal Rene Peña, CTE and ACE Director, Mrs. Adelina G. Villarreal. This concludes our school board recognition.
We would like to thank all the students and that helped Mr. Andrade do this. But we wanted to tell you, board members, that they created the robot just for you. It has little clothes that look like you and things like that. But it's also controlled by an iPad. So there's an iPad in there. So if the students could do it, you all can do it too. So there's an iPad in there. It's easier. It's really very hard. And nothing would have been done without Mr. Andrade. Mr. Andrade is a manufacturing engineer. And those are the kind of caliber of teachers that we have at RGCCISD. He's very shy, so he's going to talk. But I'm very fortunate to work with teachers like that and for the students to have teachers like that. So they all have an iPad and they all look like you. Some of yours might be missing some clothes, but it's coming in tomorrow. So we'll be giving it to you as well. So you're going to have to practice. And Mr. Andrade said that if you need retouching, you know, how to handle it, you can always ask his students and go to the class and they'll help you how to work it out, okay? So thank you.
I just want to say that we are starting to develop a nice robotics group and class for our kids. It's a fun way for them to learn. They learn about programming, designing, building, and teamwork. So it's something nice for the students. And the way things are going in the future, manufacturing, I mean, most of the jobs require robotics and automation. So the sooner they can get involved with this, the better. Thank you, guys.
Mr. Velasquez, on my behalf, I want to thank all these amazing children, all amazing parents, all the amazing staff of RGCCISD. As we see these robotics, nothing is impossible. It is because of your efforts, all the RGCCISD, the parents and the students. I think they all of you deserve a big round of applause. Thank you for everything you do.
At this time, so you all can have some time to get some snacks and refreshments that are provided. I would like to go to Section 8, Executive Session, and it is now 7:17.
Este es mío, sí.
Right? That was the cutest thing. I don't know what I am. Right? Oh. You're the teacher. I'm a teacher. How big is student door? He's a postman. Mine is a surgeon. Like
It is now 9 o'clock. We're back on open session. Do we have a motion on item A?
Mr. President, I move that we approve item A, B, and C, and D as presented in executive session, and E.
I don't think, I'm sorry, Mr. I don't think item A needs a motion, right, Mr. Montalvo? Item A.
Okay, then I move that we approve item B, C, D, and E as discussed in executive session.
I have a motion by Mr. Villarreal. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Castillo. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. It was up to E?
F.
F.
No, up to E. Now I move that we approve item F as discussed in executive session on the expulsion of students.
We have a motion by Mr. Villarreal. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Action on item G.
I move to
item G,
approve the
Mr.
demand
President.
by Attorney Kenhard as discussed in executive session.
We have a motion by Dr. B. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand.
I want to make a motion now. It didn't pass.
Motion dies.
Okay. I want to make a motion, Mr. President, on item, basically, G. I want to set for the record straight that me, Noe, and Eddie stepped out of the executive session, and discussion was had even though there was not a quorum. And with that said, I am moving that we have no action on item G.
We've already called a motion on action G.
It died, ma'am.
We have a motion by Mr. Villarreal. All in favor, raise your right hand.
No, we have a second.
Second by Mr. Ramirez. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand. Motion dies. Action on item H. Do we have a
move to approve this item as discussed in executive session.
We have a motion by Dr. B. Do we have a second? Second by Mrs. Lopez. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Item I does not need action. Item J. Do we have a motion on item J?
I move to approve item J as discussed in executive session.
We have a motion by Mr. Ramirez. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Villarreal. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Item K does not need an action. Okay, before I go to section 6, if any board member wants to pull out any items from the consent agenda, can you please let me know?
I'd like to try and pull out all of them, and then if we have an agreement on them, then we can just all agree on them.
All righty. Item number 1, consider and take possible action on travel request from Ace Elementary, Roque Guerra Junior Elementary, Gruya Middle School.
Mr. President, if I could make it a little shorter, I move that we approve item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, as presented in our board packet.
That was sort of the purpose, Mr. Villarreal.
Huh?
That was sort of the purpose for the consent
I know,
agenda.
but I'd like to discuss. I don't want to go consent and then miss some of them. So I'd rather look at them and we go through it like that if somebody wants to do it. So
All right.
that's my motion to approve item 1 through 10.
We have a motion by Mr. Villarreal. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Castillo. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Item 11, consider and take possible action on requisition $5,000 and over in a 12-month aggregate. Do we have a motion on item 11?
I have some discussion, if I could, before we start.
Okay. Let me just
Okay.
ask for a motion and a second.
I move to approve this item as presented.
I second.
We have a motion by Dr. B, second by Mrs. Lopez. Discussion?
Yeah, discussion. Is there anybody here representing the maintenance department, please? Mr. Salinas?
Yes, sir.
Would you be the one representing the maintenance department tonight?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me ask a couple of questions, Mr. Salinas. I noticed that there's one, if you look at it, it's 3 Gs.
Yes, sir.
And it's quite a big bill. Can I ask a question? How many air-conditioned techs do we have for the whole Rio Grande City CISD?
Air-conditioned techs, Mr. Ariel, is two full-time techs.
2 full-time techs for the whole RGCCISD?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But we're hiring supervisors at the maintenance department instead of techs?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we hired a supervisor, but we only have 2 techs. So I guess supervisor is much more important than the techs for air conditioning for kids?
We have opened up, we have opened up the position, but unfortunately, we have not had any more applicants.
Well, I think we should be concentrating on air conditioning for our children, first and foremost. 2 techs for the whole, how many campuses do we have, Arcadio?
We have 17, let me see, 3 high schools, 4 middle schools. That's 17.
Okay. Let me ask this question for Ms. Robles, please.
Mr. Alex Garza, can you help out, please?
Good evening. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Ms. Robles, real quickly, Ms. Robles. Is there a policy that says that anything above $5,000 and over has to be approved by this board?
Yes, sir. It is a local policy.
It's a local policy. In other words, that's a rule that governs this school board, correct?
Correct.
So let me ask a question. Why isn't it that the legal services have not been put in this board packet or in the preceding board packet?
If I remember correctly, the last time or during the meeting that the legal counsel was approved for Mr. Rene Montalvo to represent the district, it was approved to be hired as a legal counsel, and then, if I am not mistaken, authority was delegated to our superintendent and myself to discuss the salaries.
Ms. Robles, I
Yes, sir.
don't want to interrupt you. I've already had somebody look at the tape over the last week where we were outside in the executive session, and the only thing that was presented or approved that night was to approve legal counsel. That's it. Not about terms, not about anything else but legal counsel. But even though, let's go to your premise that you have the authority, which I don't think you do, to approve that amount, 5,000 and over in all other times we've been here have been brought to us to be paid before we pay anybody. So the next question I have for you, have we paid other people over $5,000 without approval of this board?
The last legal counsel that represented in 2018, 2019, that was Mr. Ruben Peña. His agreement was approved at one of the first board meetings that you all held, and we never brought a PO to be approved by you all to approve his retainer of $5,000 per month.
I remember seeing his name several times.
Yes, but that was for overages billed to us for other services provided.
So let me ask you, I encourage you to go look at the videotape and you tell me if all we did was that night was hire the gentleman. Okay, we did not go out there, this board has not ratified or approved the monetary value of that contract. So I'm going to ask, how did you sign that contract?
The motion, if I recall correctly, and maybe Mr. Science can help us out with the video, the motion was made by Mr. Garcia to approve hiring legal counsel, and for the board officers, superintendent, and CFO discuss the salary.
Mr. Science, can you provide, not today, but provide that video to Mr. Velasquez and myself?
Just for information, all board videos are on our district website under board videos. Every single board meeting and every single special board meeting is on our website.
Okay, we'll look at it tonight then.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Garza, can you step up to the podium, please?
Yes, sir.
How many techs do you have under you, sir?
2. AC
Two.
techs, we only have 2 right now.
Is it easy to get some techs, some technicians to work for the HVAC department?
¿Cómo?
Is it easy to get some technicians to work for the school district at the HVAC department?
Let me turn it around, sir. How many HVACs have we lost to STC?
Mr. Villarreal.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's hard because there's other entities that are paying more and better benefits. That's why we're having trouble with the techs.
What do you suggest we do to get more technicians?
To answer your question, Mr. Velasquez,
for the HVAC techs. We did advertise. We had one individual submitted his application. We couldn't verify the credentials. To answer your question, sir, the market very competitive, so we have to ante up, for lack of a better word. We have to either look at our salary compensation for HVAC technicians that are fully certified, or, you know, the benefits is probably a little more difficult because you're talking district-wide for all employees. So to answer your question, sir, I'd look at increasing compensation in our next pay grade presentation to the board.
Excuse me, Mr. Salinas.
Yes, ma'am.
So since the majority of our units are over 20 years old, would you say that this has been an ongoing problem that the district has faced then?
I would say yes.
Okay.
Mr. Salinas, didn't we spend $7.129 million on putting all brand-new air conditioners and lighting and stuff like that a couple of years?
With the energy savings, Mr.
Yeah.
Garza? Yes, sir.
We put a lot of air conditioners. Yes?
Yes.
Mr. Garza, have we repaired some of those air conditioners that we just placed a year and a half ago or two?
As a matter of fact,
Have we fixed them, basically?
as a matter of fact, yesterday I had to call Carrier in to check one of the machines, and it wasn't under warranty no more. So we're having trouble with them.
Okay. So we spent already
It's like a new car. You're gonna have
So the
problems.
next question I asked for you, Mr. Garza, how many people have we lost? How many HVACs did we have when you started, let's say, 3 or 4 years ago?
8.
8. And we've lost them because we don't pay, correct? Would you say?
Yes, they going for a better job, better pay.
Okay. Last question for you, Ms. Robles. I got one last one. Okay. I'm just saying, 2 wrongs never make a right. And if we didn't do it before, if we don't do it today, it doesn't make it right. So if anything above $5,000, bring it to us and we'll approve it.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Robles, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You know, we haven't had a meeting in almost 3 months. How have we been operating with requisitions for over $5,000? Have we paid some already without board?
Payments over $5,000 that have been made have all been approved in the prior board meetings. Anything that is over $5,000, we have been holding on campuses and departments. Also, if there were emergencies, I am more than sure that if that was for the maintenance department, Mr. Marin Lopez reached out to all the board members, and if you all approve, then we run it, since it's local policy.
I have another question, Mrs. Robles. How did, when Mr. Gonzalez was here, we didn't have a board meeting for 3-4 months. Did we ever pay any bills?
It was done the same way.
Okay.
Did we ever go 4 months without a meeting ever, ma'am? No, I don't think so.
Did we ever?
Well, I remember the summer was tough. The summer.
I would like to take
It was
this opportunity.
March, April, and May.
I would like to take this opportunity to say, gentlemen, these are all great questions. They are typically answered in our committee meetings, of which none of you have attended. So please take the time out to attend these meetings, because administrators are there and they can provide this information for you so that, you know, all these questions could be answered ahead of time.
I think Mr. Ramirez said it right when he decided to have all actions in the board so we could all partake in the discussion. When you have committee meetings, you have 2 or 3 board members discussing certain items, whether it's personnel or facilities. But when you discuss it in the board, everybody finds out. So I think Mr. Ramirez had a great plan of bringing everything to the committee, to our board here. So that's just my opinion.
We have a motion on item 11 and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand.
Can you repeat that again, sir?
We have a motion by Dr. B and a second by Mrs. Lopez. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand.
Give me a second.
Mr. President, if I may,
Yes,
I
sir.
left one sheet for additional requisitions in front of each one of you, and also the superintendent and the attorney for your consideration. It's a 1-page of requisitions over $5,000 that we'd like to be added to the record.
One question, and the only last question I have here, and maybe somebody could answer it for me. It says Immaculate Conception under the campus department. It says Immaculate Conception School. What is that about? The very last item, or Ms. Rowley? it says we spent 5,950.
By state law, Immaculate Conception School falls under the federal programs grants, so they are requesting that requisition.
Okay, so we have monies for that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Ms. Robles, I got one more question for you. Do you recommend that we approve all these requisitions?
All those requisitions have been waiting for months now, so yes, I would recommend that they are approved.
Okay.
Motion by Dr. B, second by Mrs. Lopez. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Item 12, consider and take possible action on request for permission to attend the National Association of Bilingual Educators Conference in Las Vegas, Nevada on February the 26th, 2020 through February the 28th, 2020.
Good evening, Mr. Velasquez, Board President, members of the Board, Ms. Garza, Superintendent of Schools. This evening, the Bilingual Department is requesting permission for some campus principals and the Bilingual Staff Department to attend the National Association for Bilingual Educators Conference, which this year happens to be in Las Vegas during the month of February, the week of the 25th through the 28th. This is through Title III, which is a grant that we have to ask for permission every year, and it was granted through the grant, so we have to be in compliance, and therefore we're asking for permission to attend this conference.
So basically, it's under your budget, sir.
It is under-
How many conferences do you go a year to, sir?
We have, usually it's one, sir, that we're allowed to go outside the district. In this case, this is outside the state and outside the district. The others are locally, so if they're within Region 1, usually we don't have to request, permission to travel.
So you're required to go to this one, sir?
We did ask for permission, sir, because this is the national one. This is where most of the any new updates for bilingual information are given during this conference, sir.
I move that we approve item 12 as presented.
We have a motion by Mr. Villarreal. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Castillo. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries.
At this time, Mr. President, I move that we approve item 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19,
Thank you.
20, 21, and 22.
We have a motion by Mr. Villarreal. Do we have a second?
Second, sir.
Second by Mr. Castillo. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Item 23, consider and take possible action on annual financial audit for the year ending August 31st, 2019.
The Texas Education Agency requires an annual financial audit to be conducted by an independent auditor. Raul Hernandez and Company, PC, has conducted the audit and presented a board workshop in the results of the audit last Friday. Administration recommends the approval of the annual financial audit.
Ms. Robles, can
Yes,
you
sir.
just two questions. What was our deficit for this year?
Current budget?
No, for the audit.
Oh, for the audit, a little over $9 million. Operating, yes.
Okay. Let me ask, when we had the committee, you were supposed to get us how much money we've gotten from the construction lawsuits. Did you ever get that or no?
I have not had the time, sir.
You
We're
have not
working
had
on
the
that
time.
one.
Okay. So we had a $9-point-something million deficit, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We can't continue this way right now.
I agree with you, sir.
And if our fund balance improved, it was because?
For many reasons.
Well, what was it? If we had a $9 million deficit,
Well,
and
yes,
our
we
fund balance went up by
we
$2.5
received
million.
settlements, sir. Yes, we did. We received settlements.
We what?
We received settlements, construction settlements.
Okay, so the only reason we went up is because we got or a little over $10 million in settlements, correct?
Yes, sir.
But our deficit was $9 million, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Ms. Robles, so as recently as 2 years ago, what was our deficit high, at its highest? Close to 20 million?
When was that?
It was close to 20 million, was it not? Almost 2 years ago, our deficit?
Yes, it was 14 million, if I am not mistaken.
Almost 18, something 18 to 14. And so right now projected, because I attended the finance committee meeting, we're at about 5 million. Is that about right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's a significant reduction.
Yes.
Yes, we have received some settlements, some poor choices, I think, made by the district in the past have had some financial yields that are advantageous for us at this point. But in sitting in the finance committee meeting, do we not have significant reductions in a lot of our expenditures that have hurt us in the past?
Yes, ma'am.
As far as overtime, other expenditures, is that correct?
Correct.
Do those contribute to our decrease in deficit and our increase in fund balance?
Yes.
Is that
Everything
information
contributes.
conveyed ritualistically in our finance committee meetings?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mrs.
Ma'am,
Robles,
so-
how much of that 12 million that we got from construction lawsuits earmarked to be used to fix schools?
Right now, I know that I would have to look at those numbers, but I know that we've made some AC repairs at Rio High and Gruya High.
Now, I know you're not an expert in this, but I'm sure there were a lot more serious problems with those schools. I mean, we got $12 million, so obviously there's some very serious issue with the school. Tell the general public how much has been used to fix serious problems.
Well, I know that we have consulted with an engineer to come and look at the Rio High School, because I know that we've been having problems with water coming into the high school gym.
Consulted,
So-
but have they laid hand on it?
No, sir, not yet.
So let me ask another question. Over the years, we've gotten tens of millions of dollars in lawsuits, correct?
Yes, for many
How
years.
much do you speculate we spent on fixing schools?
I don't have that number, but I don't believe.
It's not very much, correct?
Right.
Little or not. Let's get back to the overtime. So does the transportation people make overtime?
Yes, sir.
Does the security people make overtime?
Yes, sir.
Maintenance, very little, if any,
Yes, they have been making overtime.
lately, right? But for a
Yes.
while, they didn't make very much,
For
correct?
about 2 months, we had stopped the overtime.
So basically, our people in our maintenance department, because I'll be honest with you, ma'am, I had people come in my office, we're cleaning the stadium till 3 o'clock in the morning, and the next day we have to take comp time. And the question is that, well, I'm saying, yeah, you have to control a lot of things, that is for sure. But the other thing, you just can't stop, somebody's working till 3 o'clock in the morning, you want to give them comp time the next day, that's tough, I'm just saying. And so now are we giving overtime to maintenance again?
I believe so. There are some projects that they're working on, and they cannot be done during the day, so yes, they have been allowed.
Like what projects, could I say?
I believe the Revive Fort Ringgold.
Okay.
We are helping with that, and also there has been other water pipe issues, if I am not mistaken, that they have to come in during off hours.
Let me ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Have you, Arcadio, or you been to La Gruya lately?
To La
The school?
Gruya?
Yeah, the highway or the road that goes into La Gruya?
No,
Next to
I
next
have
to the
not.
chillers, I call it a crevasse. It's like a moon crater that is it's deep. And sometimes I wonder, Revive Fort Ringo is a great thing, but we need to address everything. And not only, Revive Fort Ringo is nice, but when you have a place that has literally a crater, I'm going to use a crater, and it doesn't get fixed, and then you go to Fort Ringo, you go around Fort Ringo, we want to revive Fort Ringo, but that's nice, but you go all around the roads and it looks like you're in the moon. There's craters everywhere. So the bottom line is, I'm just saying, we need to take care of our kids first and foremost.
And that's exactly what we're doing, Mr. Villarreal. We've talked about the potholes in the Ford, in our parking lots. That crater you talked about at Gruya High School, that's why Marin reached out to every board member so that we could address it. We want to do this the right way. We want an architect to give us the specs so we can go out for an RFP, so we can take care of all these issues. So we are working on that. We have been working on that, and Marin is not here, but Dr. Salinas can also brief you on some of the projects that we've been trying to move forward.
I know that crater's been there forever and a day. I'm not going to say forever and a day, but it's been there a long time. And it's dangerous. That's all I'm going to say.
That's correct, Mr. Real. If it's the drainage issue at Gruya High on the west end of the campus. That is, we brought in a local vendor that felt that he can address the issue. It's dealing with drainage pipes and some of that water to alleviate toward or to relieve itself towards the south side. So it'll be addressed, and they came and looked at it and said they feel very confident they can fix it.
So the jobs with the Revive Fort Ringo, have we been paying overtime for that? Ma'am?
I believe they just started this week
Is
and
it
last week.
overtime or not?
Yes. Yes, but
So we're paying overtime for Revive Fort Ringo then?
Revive Fort Ringo will be reimbursing the district for those hours.
I'm just saying, I know that I live next to Roque Guerra, and there was a fence that was knocked down. It took 3 or 4 months to fix it. I just think we need to address air conditioners, air-conditioned techs. We need to address our children first. Anyway, but that's it. I move that we approve item 23 as presented.
I second.
We have a motion by Mr. Arrial, second by Mrs. Lopez. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Item 24, consider and take possible action on adopting resolution to change RGCCISD fiscal year.
In accordance with the Texas Education Code Section 44.0011, the Board of Trustees of the district determines whether the fiscal year of the school district begins on July 1st or September 1st of each year. Rio Grande City CISD would like to submit a notification of intent to change the fiscal year start date to TA. The district intends to change the start date from September 1st to July 1st, effective this coming fiscal year. So the start date for the 2020-21 fiscal year will be July 1st, 2020. Administration recommends approval of change of the fiscal year to start date to July 1st. Advantages include aligning of the fiscal and academic years, facilitating teacher retention and recruiting, improve campus involvement in budget process, improving the accuracy of comparison data between campuses, aligning the majority of the federal programs with the fiscal year, and greater flexibility with the external audit staff.
Do we have a motion on item 24?
I move to approve this item as presented.
We have a motion by Dr. B. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second by Mrs. Lopez. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand. Motion dies.
That's sad. That is sad.
Item 25, consider and take possible action on calling a bond election, providing for the conduct and the giving of notice of said election and resolving other matters related.
Mr. President, I move that we approve item number 25 for calling a bond election, but I'd like some discussion after we get a second.
We have a motion by Mr. Villarreal. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Ramirez. Mr. De Los Santos.
Mr. President, members of the board, Ms. Garza, the presentation that we've made, by the way, Mr. Perez is here, bond counsel, present also to discuss legal issues in terms of addressing this order. Thank you very much. But the discussion that we've had with the board in the past, several times in the past, was with reference to a school in Gruya for $35 million. And I believe you have in front of you a little package with some information. If you'll give me an opportunity, I can go through it fairly quickly. And and then discuss with you any options that you want to consider. The first page that we present to you always is the general assumptions. In other words, what is it that we base our numbers on? Your ADA, your values, what a penny raises in taxes, your tax collections generally at 96, 97%, your tax rates, your TEA, how much they help you, things of that nature. The fact that these bonds, if you pass them, would be subsidized by the state at approximately 50, 55%, más o menos. It varies a little bit depending on whether the variables of assessment go up or down, and your ADA goes up or down. Those are entered into the formulas by TEA. But anyway, the assumptions are there, and the reason we put them there is because sometimes state aid changes a little bit whenever any of these variables may change to some degree. So based on that, the next page where it says current debt by issue, that's what you owe right now by the different issues. And if you'll notice at the very bottom, you have 8, 15, 10, $37 million, and principal outstanding $24,690,000. And then it's callable next to the last column on 8/15/20. We have taken those bonds. Sometime in the near future, we're going to come before you and we're going to say, you need to refund these bonds. And we have done some preliminary analysis on that. It'll save you about $1.6 million when you refinance those bonds. The numbers that we show you in terms of your tax rate impact take into consideration that $1.6 million, and we front load your savings. In other words, we take the 1.6, we don't divide it by the 20 years that are left, but we divide it so that the first 6, 7 years you're getting $300,000-$400,000 a year for those years, in order to help you keep the tax rate low on whatever new bonds you may want to consider. So that'll come up again in a minute when I discuss the next few pages. If you look at the next page, it's a spreadsheet and it says pre, and it's pre any new debt. In other words, if you look at the debt that the district has right now, you look at that spreadsheet, that's what it is. And if you didn't do anything else, that's what it is. And the most important columns here are column L, which is the district contribution to the debt, and what that district contribution is raised by the next column, which is your tax rate. This year, if you look across, and it's this year is 2020, the third, in column M, you have 31 cents. That's your INS tax rate right now. What you collect with those 31 cents is what you use to pay your share of the debt that you currently hold. You'll notice 21 and then 22, or rather 21, which is next year, you'll notice that your tax rate is going to go up by almost 2 pennies. That doesn't include new debt. It's just effects that state assistance has, but it's going to go up by 2 pennies if you want to pay your full debt out of the INS. So that particular column will show you what your tax rate is going to do over the next 15, 20 years. That's your pre. No action. The next page shows you borrowing $35 million worth of bonds for a 30-year period. And if you look at that little square in the middle, columns D through F, you'll notice that the interest rate that we quoted at that time, this is from October the 15th, and we presented to the board, I believe in November, 3.79. That is the debt for $35 million. It costs, if you look at column F, approximately, notice the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, $1,522,000. And the reason is that you're getting help from the refinancing of the bonds. And then it kicks up to about $2.5 million. It costs $2.5 million to borrow $35 million.
Sir, what are the consequences of as far as tax rate, 1.522, what would the effect be on the INS if we were to do everything on it? And then the 2.5, the effect on the INS.
Okay. If we look at column M on this particular one,
I'm listening.
Mr. Villarreal, if you look at towards the right-hand side, 2020, your tax rate is 31 cents. I said in 2021, you don't have a choice. You're going to have to increase a couple of pennies just to keep up with it.
How many pennies?
2 pennies just to keep up with the debt that you have. And then if you look at 2022, 2021, you're going to have, for the new bonds, an increase of 3.5 cents.
Okay.
And then the net is going to be 5 cents for the new debt. 5 pennies is going to be the difference. If you look at 2020, it's 31. If you look at 2022, it's 38. That's the highest that it'll go.
So,
The difference
say-
is 7 cents.
so
2
10 years from now, what is the tax consequence? Is it 7 or 8 cents total, the max?
Let's look down here. What happens is, notice that you're going to have that 37 or 38 cents through the year 2026.
Okay.
After that, some of your debt is going away. So your tax rate is going to naturally drop to 28 cents, 27.97. Then you have you're going to pay that till 2034. Debt's going to go away, your tax rate is going to go down. But for this particular bond, if you look at, you owe 31 cents right now, you're going to have 31 cents. You're going to have to increase 2 pennies, for current debt. And then in 2022 forward, at least until 2026, your tax rate is going to be 38 cents for $35 million. That's a 7-cent difference. 2 of those cents are for current debt. The other 5 are for the $35 million. If you look at...
So 2 cents are for current debt.
That's
What do you
correct.
mean by that?
I mean that your tax rate is 31 cents right now,
Right?
and next year, just to meet your share of the,
Okay,
of
I
the
got
debt,
you.
2 pennies.
Gotcha.
Whether you do anything with the 35 million or not.
Let me ask you a couple other questions. EDA, are you positive 100% that EDA money is going to be available? Because if we sell out these bonds and EDA money disappears, we're going to be having a big tax burden in the future.
EDA has been around since 1999. Every 2 years, the legislature has always reappropriated it. That's the only thing I can tell you.
That's the only thing you can say.
I
So-
can tell you that right now it's available, that if you were to pass a bond in May and sell your bonds in July, that EDA would take your bonds and take care of them.
So let me ask you another question. When you pass this type of bond with EDA money, are you, I remember that one time you had to do only instructional facilities. Can you do other things besides instructional facilities?
Only instructional facilities with IFA.
What?
Remember?
Yes,
The
exactly.
IFA program. EDA, you can do anything you want. That's legal.
What do you mean by that, sir?
Well, I don't know, anything that's legal. I better clarify that, right, Rick?
Last question. I know you came to this board not too long ago, and they passed it in executive session. Have we passed this motion before or not?
Well, they acted in open session. What happened in executive session, I don't know because I was not present. But the board took action in open session on the order. Now, I do know that it was posted in executive session. The item was not posted in the open
So if
session
we do it this way, we
agenda.
clean it up then, right?
I'm sorry?
If we do it this way, what we're doing today, we're kind of cleaning it up.
That is correct.
If there's in other words, if you got posted in executive session, it has to be posted in open session.
That is correct.
So if we brought it today, we're just cleaning up anything. If somebody came and challenged us, we could have a problem, correct?
If you were challenged with the action that was taken the last time, there is potential for a good challenge. If you take action today,
It cleans everything up, correct?
you should not have any issues that could arise over this particular item.
And that's what Mr. De Los Santos recommended, and that's why we
That is what, I
agreed to.
did have a discussion with Ms. Garza, and I suggested that,
So,
just to avoid any controversy, that they should take this kind of action.
Ms. Garza, what have we done to kind of promote this within the district, what we're going to do with the money, whether it's, I know La Gruya. In other words, have we had any meetings in the La Gruya area, Alto Bonito area, to go and go out there and say what we're going to do or not do or things of that nature, informing the general public?
We are waiting for Dr. Los Santos to put all the information together for us so that we can start with the different campuses and then having public hearings so that we can go ahead and notify the public about this bond election.
We have submitted the first draft, and staff is working on updating information and so on. In fact, it's in Ms. Robles' office this time. If you,
Anything else, Mr. De Los Santos?
basically, I would like for Mr. Perez to lay out. Oh, by the way, there's an item here that says that 1 penny of tax rate, 1 penny, in case there had been some discussion about the possibility of doing something other in addition to the $35 million. If you were to consider any additions to the $35 million, the thing to think about is 1 penny of tax rate raised will buy you $5.7 million.
Okay, that's interesting to know. So basically, there's not a cap then, right?
No, you could say, well, we want to do
an extra $5
another
million.
project
Let's
or whatever, an extra $5
let's
million.
say, basically, correct me if I'm wrong, we could say something that we want to build a Gruya middle school with that money and say raise another 1 penny and build something for Rio Grande, and I don't know what that would be, right?
That's
for another
correct.
penny or two, correct?
Yep,
Okay, that's
exactly.
great.
Now, Mr. Perez, the law changed with House Bill 3 in terms of how you word bonds, and it used to be we just did one general, what do you call it, proposition. It's a little bit different now, and I'd like if you'll allow Mr. Perez to address you on that so that you know exactly how it's going to lay.
Mr. President, members of the board, again, my name is Ricardo Perez. I've been serving as a school's bond counsel for the last couple of years, and Dr. De Los Santos is correct. This last legislative session, there was a bunch of laws that were changed regarding bond elections, and the majority of them affected school districts. Before, when you had a bond election, there was a general statutory language that would go into the election ballot that would basically allow you to float a bond, and whatever amount you floated, you could use for any facilities within the school district. This year, effective September 1st of this year, now you have to break your propositions. You've got a general proposition and a special proposition. General propositions will allow you to build school facilities. Special propositions are for like stadiums, for event natatoriums, for auditoriums, and the law now requires that you have separate propositions on your ballot. Instead of saying, okay, we need $50 million for all these projects, now you have to say, okay, we need $25 million for school facilities, and then we need $10 million for a new stadium, and then we need $10 million for an auditorium, and we need $5 million for an natatorium. And then in your ballot, you would have 3 or 4 different propositions.
So basically, they could pass one and not pass another one?
That's
Some
correct.
monies get approved and other ones don't, right?
That's correct.
So you can't put it in one package,
You
basically,
cannot.
the way you could do it before, right? So
You
basically,
cannot.
every other special project has to be identified and voted on.
Yes, there's some exceptions, like some of the special projects, like if you're going to build a stadium that has less than 1,000 seats, then you can group it with your general proposition. But if it has more than 1,000 seats, it's got to have its own. Same thing goes for auditoriums.
Or an natatorium.
Yeah, an natatorium, regardless, that has to be on its own. And another deal is if you call a bond election for, let's say, $30 million for a high school, and then you only spend 25 because you had less money, either throw that money into your INS fund to help you pay off future debt, or you can use those $5 million for a general purpose project for the school district. But you can't use it for a special purpose project. They just kind of made it, a little bit, I won't say harder to vote on, but, they just given the public more options whether to pass some facilities and not other facilities.
Basically, what you're saying is they have the option of saying, we vote education and don't vote sports more than anything else, right?
Yes.
The other thing that you may want to talk about, the ballot will say this is a tax.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing that you got to put in not bold letters, but big block letters on your notice that, there'll be a tax increase. They require that now. And another thing that it's pretty important here, I know that y'all were talking about promoting the bond. The school officials, the school board, and the school administrators cannot promote the bond for or against the bond.
Thank you.
They can only publish facts. We're going to issue so much, build this school, but you can't be campaigning for or against it on school properties or use school dollars to print and promote.
So basically, you can't put an ad in the newspaper saying that vote for the bond issue, it's a good thing, and the school pay for it.
What you guys can't.
Right. But the school-
What has happened in other districts is they commit a bond committee.
Yeah.
Just people from the general community, they create a bond committee, and then they're able to do that.
Can the school put out a newspaper ad that says, this is what we're going to have a bond to buy this? And not
They can, but only facts. They can only state facts.
Exactly.
Yes,
Not
it'll be
for or
like,
against.
this is the amount, this are the projects, this is the date of the voting, but you can't advocate, come and vote for the kids, or don't come and vote for the stadium because whatever.
If the board so chooses to move forward, the last date to approve this, if you're going to have a May election, is February the 14th. If the board chooses to move forward with it, you would be approving the order. The things that we need from you, or actually, he needs them more. We need them also because we need to run some numbers specific to the final amount that you choose. If it's going to be $35 million for Gruya, plus $5 million for a stadium, or whatever other items you choose, then we need to run numbers for that
We have to
amount.
give you the amount we need tonight, sir?
That's a
No,
legal question.
but we need them by the 14th. The
We
14th
can
is the
put
deadline to
bond
call the
issue later,
election.
Tell you what in other words, what I'm saying is, if we approve it tonight, are we fixed for that number? Or can you say, we go for another 1 cent to try and get another $5 million?
No, you'll be fixed because you took that action. What I recommend is if you don't have the projects you want and the amounts, we can come back to another meeting. It's got to be before the 14th, where you say, okay, we're going to want X amount of dollars for this project, X amount of dollars for this project, and X amount for this project. Because if you don't call it by the 14th, you're going to lose the cycle. You're going to have to wait till November.
Mr. Villarreal and members of the board, we did have some discussions about updating the RJ Stadium to make it ADA compliant, our restrooms and our bleachers. We looked at some numbers at about possibly $4 million for that, and also updating the auditorium. Talked to Mr. Figueroa, and he mentioned that it'd be more or less about $1 million to update the auditorium at the fort, so that we could have it ready for our fine arts department. So we're looking for another possibly $5 million, if the board agrees for those two projects.
Why don't we go, I'm thinking that the only way a bond issue can, I think, pass is to give something. Obviously, La Grulla does need a middle school, but give Rio Grande something else. I don't know what, an auditorium or something, but maybe we should pass a 2 cent, because at the end they're gonna separate them. They're gonna put the school and they're gonna put the extra projects, and if the voters don't want it, they can vote them down. Correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Do you know what the average cost for an average middle school?
Not me.
I don't, that's not in my expertise, but I believe that the 35 million, if I'm not, came from an architect as an estimate, not from Mr. Figueroa, but as an estimate of what a middle school might cost. So we work with whatever number is given to us that you want to.
Anything that we get, but it's better than what they have right now. That's for sure. Well, I don't know, should we try and move and get in it, or go for 2 extra cents or not? They'll put it in the ballot if for special projects. The school will be one, and the other 2 cents will be, let's say we split it up. They would have to vote on them individually, right? In other words, the
That's correct.
school is one, and let's say they put auditorium and stadium and an natatorium. Those have to be voted separately, correct?
That's correct. If they pass, then
It passes,
then you
and
would
if it
increase
doesn't,
your
it
2
doesn't.
pennies. If they don't pass, then you would increase according to whatever is passes.
So can I amend my motion then, Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
To add an extra 2 cents for, do we have to tell you for special projects, or we have to tell you tonight, sir?
You would have to specify the project for the order.
But I'm thinking maybe, like Ms. Garza says, stadium, auditorium, and maybe an natatorium for Rio Grande, and a middle school for La Gruya.
And 2 pennies will get you approximately 11.5, $12 million. So if you would give us a
What do you
figure
want?
like 35 plus 12 or 35 plus 11.
I'm just saying, natatorium, maybe we could try and put the natatorium somewhere between maybe both schools where both of them can use it. We sorely need a natatorium in the indoor facility. It'd be nice.
In an auditorium in that area.
Raising the 2 cents, would that be enough?
Well, 2 pennies would raise you close to $12 million. I don't know what it would cost you
What
to
estimate
build those
did
items.
Mr. Figueroa tell you, Mrs. Garza?
For the natatorium, I don't have a number.
Natatorium, Mr. Figueroa did mention to me that he was working with another school district. I won't mention the district because I don't think, may not have gone to their board yet, but that they were coming close to $6 million.
That's right on target. Well,
That would be a penny in your tax rate.
I amend my motion to get a natatorium, fix the stadium like Ms. Garza says, and fix the auditorium like Ms. Garza says. And if they vote against it, they vote against it. Plus, whatever is La Gruya, the middle school for La Gruya. That, I want to amend my motion.
Okay, I just need amounts. Just let me make notes here. One is La Gruya,
La Gruya is the $35 million.
and that's
Gruya
the
Middle School.
right?
Right.
Okay.
And then take the 1 penny for each one for the stadium and the auditorium.
The
Yeah.
upgrade.
Huh?
The upgrade.
Yeah,
Stadium upgrade, how much
Yeah.
money is that?
4 million,
4 million.
Okay, and then
And the auditorium, put 2 million.
about $1 million.
Put $1.5 million. And
five.
whatever is left over, put it for an natatorium somewhere between both school districts.
I think around the La Union area, sir.
Yeah, or somewhere between those.
6.5.
How about an auditorium for the Gruya area?
And the stadium and the auditorium are renovations, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
The only thing that in schools, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Garza, like in Rio Grande High School, they have the cafeteria and they design it where they can actually have, like I've been to La Gruya many times where they have programs and things of that nature. I just think we need to put a caveat for Rio Grande, otherwise it's going to be tough. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let me repeat this here real quick. That's $35 million for the La Gruya Middle School, $6.5 million for a brand-new natatorium,
Right.
$4 million to renovate the stadium, and $1.5 million to renovate the auditorium.
I like that. I amend my motion to say that.
So no auditorium in the Gruya area? No? Y'all want to use the
Maybe.
cafetorium?
Yeah.
How much would it cost?
I don't know, a full auditorium, I don't know.
Every school has a cafetorium, basically, where they clear out. But that's my motion.
Yeah. I just like the auditorium that we have here. I would like something over there too. But
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Villarreal, second by Mr. Castillo. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. De Los
Thank you very
Santos.
much. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much.
Item 26, consider and take possible action on the following bids. RFP number 20-21, RFP number 20-27, number 20-28, and number 20-29.
I move that we approve RFP 2021 and RFP 2028 as presented in our board packet.
We have a motion by Mr. Villarreal. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Castillo. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand. Motion, that would be let me see. Do you voted yes or left or right? 2027?
2021, I made a motion to approve motion 2021 and 2028. It was a second.
And leave out 2027 and 2029.
Leave out 2027, 2029. Yes. The reason 2029 is that they want to bale hay in the district. Everybody knows that baling hay is a 60-40 proposition. They want to propose an 80-20 where the person who bales the hay takes 80% of the hay and leaves the school 20%. To make it in terms, if they make 100 bales, Rio Grande CISD gets 20 and the guy who bales it gets 80. That's anybody who knows about haying will tell you it's best for us to go and pay somebody to make the hay, bale them at $20 and keep all the bales. But an 80-20 split is ridiculous.
How many bids did we get, Mrs. Ruth?
We had one sole bidder for this one.
I just think that we need to pay somebody. What I'm trying to say, and follow me, if we paid somebody to go do bales, 100 bales at $20, that's $2,000 for 100 bales. But if they're going to go bale it and we're going to only get 20 bales, guess what? We're going to be buying bales 2 or 3 months down the line at $50 and $60 a bale. It makes no sense.
How many bales do we buy a month?
It's for the horses, correct?
Yes, for the ROTC horses.
Horses eat a lot.
Not sure.
Mr.
Cows don't, but horses do. Horses have one stomach, cows have 2 stomachs. Right, Mr. Garcia? Huh? How many? 4? And horses? 1, exactly.
No.
So, a question. So, we weren't doing any baling of any hay before this item, correct?
I have heard, I'm not sure about this, but that many years ago, someone started doing the baling, then it stopped, and then again, it started again, but then I believe it was like 2 years ago, they stopped again. So no one has been doing the baling for the school district.
Mr. Salinas, you're a farmer. Tell me, what's more cost effective? Paying $20 to bale 100 bales or giving an 80-20 split?
To pay to get the bales done, sir.
Huh?
To pay to get the bales done. Most common is 60-40, like you mentioned.
Yeah. Or paying $20. In other words, if we pay $20 to bale them, if for $2,000 we get 100 bales, 100 with a value of $5,000, $6,000. And most people do a 40-60 split, exactly.
And this one?
Anyway, I have a motion, there's a second.
Well, we have a motion by Mr. Villarreal, second by Mr. Castillo. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand. Motion carries 4-2.
I move to approve, we did item 21 and 28.
20.
So which one did we not include?
On item
27 and 29.
And 29, okay. I move to approve item 27 as presented.
I second.
We have a motion by Dr. B and a second by Mrs. Lopez.
So, going back, I am confused here. Going back to item 26, you left out the bid for the insurance, so you just left us without insurance coverage?
All I want to know is how many, we don't have any information.
So I already made the motion to approve that one?
Oh, okay.
The 27, right?
Yeah, and there was a second. Is there any information?
And it's been seconded.
Yes. We had decided to go out for bid on the insurance because the premiums had gone up. We believe that it had gone up excessively, so we decided to make sure that we had the best price or submitted. So we did go out for bids, and so again, the only bidder for all the insurance coverage was Cuellar and Associates.
Shepherd, Walton, and King didn't bid or did not exist?
He only bidded for the excess workers' comp. And so we decided that it was best just to keep one sole agent for all the coverages.
What was the difference in price between both of them?
Between both, on the excess, if I am not mistaken, Shepherd Walton King was a little bit higher, about $5,000 more on the excess workers' comp.
So Shepherd, Walton, and King was higher than Cuellar?
Yes, on that part.
On the excess?
Yes.
So basically, the Shepherd, Walton, and King didn't bid on anything except the excess coverage?
Correct.
And they were higher than Cuellar?
Right.
So basically, Cuellar had the cheapest bid?
Correct.
Okay, it's just approval. Okay. Take a vote.
We have a motion by Dr. B, second by Mrs. Lopez. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Item 27. Consider and take possible action on authorizing administration to conduct financial analysis for proposed mid-year salary raises and its impact on the existing approved and current budget.
Ms. Garza, this is an item that me and Owie and Eddie had sent you about trying to help propose increases and stipends, but then we got to this. How did we get to this, out of curiosity?
Sir, this is the first step.
Excuse me, Ms. Garza, the superintendent presented your item, sir, on the preliminary agenda. In discussing this with Mrs. Garza, the superintendent, the item on this agenda is the preliminary step and addresses the topic of your request.
I didn't understand. Can you repeat?
Okay. I did my homework.
Okay.
I asked legal counsel and checked some of our local policies and took some notes.
Yeah, but correct me if I'm wrong, the local policy says that if a board members get together, you shall. It doesn't say you can change it, it says shall. And if at the end of the day you don't think it's good, don't vote against it.
I was recommended not to do so because I would probably get in trouble.
Why would that be, sir?
Governance.
Huh?
Governance. That was
giving.
Sir, I took the items as you presented them to me and provided them to Mr. Eleazar Velazquez in a preliminary draft, which is what the policy says, that I am supposed to provide those items as given to me, which I did to the board president.
Governance, is when you're trying to tell an individual or campus to do anything. On this particular issue, we were just trying to provide compensation for principals. Principals that only got $1,500, assistants that only got $1,000, administrators that only got $1,000, paraprofessionals that only got $1,000. Yet, we claim that we have $40 million in the bank, according to Ms. Robles, but the idea was...
Mr. Villarreal, and we're also claiming our deficit,
Yes.
$9-point-some million.
Yes.
So what I want to know is it feasible for the school district to allow us to give away that money to our staff? I don't have a problem giving raises.
It's not giving away, sir. They've earned they've earned those raises.
Okay.
It's not giving away. We're not giving away money today. It is a principal that makes $1,500. It is an assistant that makes $1,000. It is they're the ones in the front line. It is paraprofessionals, auxiliary it's about them. We don't give them anything. They earn it.
Okay.
Mr. President, excuse me.
Excuse
May I
me,
make
Dr.
a
B.
comment?
Excuse me. Maybe I said it wrong, but ever since the past superintendent came along, we keep giving raises left and right to certain individuals. $680,000+ of raises for a lucky few. I just want to know why, not why, if it's visible, if it is visible for the school district to give or compensate, however you want to call it, to our employees. That's all I want to know.
Ms. Robles, can we afford $1.2 million? That's what we kind of predicted everything was going to cost. Yes or no?
Is that going to add to the deficit?
I'm asking, can we afford $1.2 million?
I think that is something that you all need to decide.
Okay, thank you. So what do you want to do with this, Ms. Garza?
Excuse me, may I make a comment, Mr. President? It's okay.
Yes, go ahead.
I don't think anybody at this table disagrees with the fact that our teachers, our administrators, our maintenance workers, our cafeteria workers, everybody that serves this district deserves to make affordable wages for all that they contribute. But the facts are that the deficit we have and they're still struggling with are the fallout from us not doing an investigation on increasing wages considerably more than we can afford. Mr. Villarreal, he just said that if we continue spending the way we spend, we're going to have no money. He just said that. I just heard that. And so I think that it is pertinent and prudent and fiscally responsible for us to say, yes, we want our school district and all of its employees to do well because they do work hard for us. But we want to make sure we have a school district for them to work in.
I just want to add, sir, that I've tried my best. I came in with a $14 million deficit. I tried my best to bring this district to try to balance the budget, and with House Bill 3 requiring our district to compensate our teachers, nurses, counselors, and librarians, in addition, with the money that came in with House Bill 3, which was $5.some million, almost $6 million. In addition to that, we had to give a penny back, 7 pennies back, and so that was $1 million that we have to compensate for. Our decreasing enrollment, all that took into place, into consideration when we were working with numbers. At the same time, trying to keep everybody's job at bay. We did our best. Our recommendation was to recommend what we proposed back in July. At this time, I'm asking the board to give us an opportunity to conduct a financial analysis to see where we're at with the operating cost at hand. We don't know what other projects, unforeseen projects that might come up that we have to spend monies on our facilities. We're looking at other avenues to compensate the principals and the teachers. We do have some more items to present to the board that...
But it's about everybody, ma'am. It's not only a select few. It's about everybody. It's not, you know, the janitor is cleaning a room or restrooms. It's a bus driver. It's a cafeteria. It's a teachers. It's a principal. It's not only, and I know you have some items that are there, but it's about everybody, ma'am. And let me go back. You know, we spent $7.129 million in energy efficiency. We spent, I don't know, what, $4 or $5 million on turf, correct? Because we're going to save a ton of money, even though that turf has to be replaced in 10 years. So we spent money on other things, and all I say, let's make an investment in our employees.
Those money, I mean, all of what you mentioned, Mr. Villarreal, that went straight to the kids. Straight to the kids.
Sir, let me put it this way. We had a beautiful field in Rattler Field. I would have much rather gotten that money and given it to our employees. Even though the grass field was there, we had grass fields, but they're beautiful fields. The fact of the matter that our employees have probably gotten, for 4 years, 3 or 4 years, gotten all stipends and one raise. Their retirement is probably $15, $20 a month for the rest of their life. And all I'm saying, we need to invest. We're only as good as our employees. And I've said enough, I guess.
I've seen the excitement on our kids when they got that artificial turf, sir. Even some board members would make fun of our field to my face, because this is what they told me. Yeah, we lost because our kids are not used to playing on grass.
Sir, I have a child.
We were probably the only district in South Texas without a artificial turf.
I have a child, sir. He was a very good baseball player. And I'll be honest with you, and he was a good baseball player. He tells me over and over again, if I had to do it all over again, I would have concentrated in academics. I love football, don't get me wrong, I love baseball, I like all the sports. But there comes a time where you go out there and say, what takes to the promised land, academics or athletics? And I understand, but the field we had was a beautiful field. So with that said, let's see, I don't know what you people want to do.
All I can say, sir, that if it wasn't for House Bill 3, we would probably just be given this type of same raise that we gave the principals and administration, because we could not afford to give the type of compensation we gave with House Bill 3. So I'm asking that you authorize administration to do a financial analysis.
I would just like to say one more thing as the chair of the Finance Committee. Several years ago, a decision was made that almost crippled this district. And we're just now starting to bounce back. We hear what this district needs, our kids and its employees, and we're trying to get there. But now we need to make sure we know the choices that we're making are not going to hurt us down the line. You deserve stability. Our kids deserve improvements.
From what I've heard in the past is that when administration, when board members went against CFO, Ms. Ruelas, that's what created the deficit. So I just don't want to go against.
I asked.
Excuse me. Yeah. I do not want to go against administration's recommendation. That's my main concern.
Ms. Robles, in the committee meeting, I told you to get the last 6 years. Get them, sir, ma'am. I need so we can
Yes, sir.
settle this once and for all.
I will send it to all of you.
Do we have a motion on item 27?
I move to approve the item as presented.
We have a motion by Dr. B. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second by Mrs. Lopez. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand. Are you abstaining?
We're not voting. We're abstaining.
Motion carries 3-0.
Yeah.
3-0. Item 28, consider and take possible action on purchasing of DMAC.
That's another item that we put. The fact of the matter is that every teacher, not every teacher, but 90% of the teachers tell you that DMAC, that they want DMAC. DMAC had what they call T-test. T-test was an something they could go evaluate teachers and keep it in the computer. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, have you gone to, how do you evaluate teachers these days? Do you have is it paperless or is it paper now?
Teachers evaluate the T-test instrument, sir, and we're currently using paper.
Paper, and T-test was paperless, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you, L-packing.
Mr. President, members of the board, L-packing is in the process.
No, but I just want to know, is L-packing did DMAC have L-packing, sir? Do we have L-packing right now? Right now?
Not online.
Okay, thank you.
We don't, but we have other programs, sir, that identify the students' reading ability, placement of students that need remediation, intervention. It's about the children. So this tool that we purchased in July has a lot more to offer our children than DMAC. So I will not use this item.
I'm just going to say, if you talk to all your teachers, all of them like DMAC. At the end of the day, if you all want to vote it down, that's fine. But at the end of the day, the majority, a great majority of the teachers love DMAC. And I'll just leave it at that. I make a motion that we approve item, item 28 as presented to purchase DMAC. Second.
Motion by Mr. Villarreal, second by Mr. Castillo. Do you think, Ms. Garza, do you think it would be a good decision to purchase this?
I do not think that we should have two tools in our system. We already approved one tool that is our data system, a tool that can provide our teachers remediation and intervention, all the activities. Our children are being identified, their reading level, and we are identifying all the students, all the special POPs that are not on grade level, and we are providing them intervention. So, in my opinion, sir, we need to stick to one tool.
Mr. President, go talk to the teachers, sir. That's all I tell you. There's a
And it's
motion.
not all the teachers, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We have a motion by Mr. Villarreal, second by Mr. Castillo. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand. Motion dies. Item 29, consider and take possible action on TASB localized policy update.
I move to approve these items as presented.
We have a motion by Dr. B. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second by Mrs. Lopez. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Item 30, consider and take possible action on amendment of TASB localized policy CE.
Mr. President, members of the board, this item was in reaction to the change in fiscal year, and if I'm not mistaken, that item was not passed, so our recommendation is for this policy to stay as is. Ms. Garza?
Do we have a motion on item 30?
So you're saying no action, sir?
No action.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, there's no action needed on item 30. Item 31, consider and take possible action on early notification resignation incentive plan.
I move to approve this item as presented.
There's a motion by Dr. B. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second by Mrs. Lopez. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand. Can you, motion dies, can you?
Mr.
explain?
President, I make a motion on the same thing, but I move that we table this item.
I would like to hear out Mr. Salinas about this item.
So before you on this item, what you have is an early notification resignation incentive program. And what was before you today was the authority to begin the survey process. Because this system, we need to know, one, if we can afford it, and two, what kind of personnel impact are we looking at for individuals leaving the district. There's just, certain things you can't afford to replace. So before you, you have the survey instrument that we're asking to set out, and the criteria recommended by administration. We're looking at 20 years experience total, 5 consecutive with the district, with our district, and a 30% of their base salary. That would be the information sent out as a survey to our employees that qualify. At that point, we get feedback, find out what, if, again, can we afford it, is it fiscally sound? And two, you can't, just an example, you can't afford to lose 5 math teachers or 5 science teachers. At that point, then that's when the district would come back to the board and say that either one, we can't afford it, fiscally sound, or two, it would be a big impact as far as personnel. So before you is just authorization to begin the survey process.
Because the motion died, I'm going to withdraw my motion. Bottom line is this, I understand that retired teachers, they work real hard and things of that nature. But what would be nice, again, is to, here we go, retired teachers are leaving, maybe they deserve something. But so does everybody else in our district. But the motion died, so I'll just say that. Maybe we can bring it up again.
Yes, sir.
Item 32, consider and take possible action on TRS Active Care District of Innovation Resolution.
So the district became District of Innovation this school year, and we opted out of the start year, which allowed us to begin the second week of August. Being said that we're a district of innovation, what we're looking at is using that same concept of district innovation and opting out of TRS being the sole provider for health insurance for the district. In other words, TRS would not be the only option for the district, because you cannot opt out of TRS. And the resolution specifically states that the district would look to provide further or other options for health care. I guess you create a little market within the district without opting out of TRS, which you can't by statute. So that's what this resolution states.
I move that we approve item 32 as presented.
We have a motion by Mr. Villarreal. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. B. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Item 33, consider and take possible action on STAR.
On item 33, Superintendent wanted an initiative where we can cut substitute costs, especially in the classroom, as all studies indicate that if the teacher is present in the classroom, learning increases. So what we have before you is super teacher attendance reward. What we're looking at is a $500 one-time payment for each semester for teachers with perfect attendance. Obviously, the first semester is gone, so we're looking at the second semester, and this would begin February 10th, just so we can get the information out to our leaders, get out to our principals, and they can inform their teachers so they can get a fair start to the second semester.
Do we have a motion on item 33?
I move to approve this item as presented.
We have a motion by Dr. B. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second by Mrs. Lopez. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand. Motion dies.
Real quickly, Mr. Salinas,
Yes,
on this
sir.
one. Again, something you could bring. Did we do anything for paraprofessionals and auxiliary on this thing or not?
No, sir. It was just teachers.
So it was only professionals, right?
Just teachers, yes,
So
sir.
nothing for the auxiliary or paras, correct?
No, sir. Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 34, consider and take possible action on pre-AP high school designation.
Good evening, Board President, Mr. Velasquez, Superintendent of Schools, board members, and community. In order to receive, and this is something that's new that is nationwide, actually, the College Board now is asking that in order for the high schools to receive the official pre-AP designation to offer those courses for pre-AP, that we need to purchase the courses in order for us to receive those labels. So as presented at the committee meeting, we are recommending that we award the three high schools that particular pre-AP designation by purchasing the courses for our 9th graders and 10th graders for the core areas. And each course is a $3,000 fee. There is funding available through 199 SCE and Title IV. So right now we're looking at a cost of $63,000 to fund all three high schools for the courses to be offered, and we do recommend approval.
I move that we approve item 34 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Villarreal, second by Dr. B. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Item 35, consider and take possible action on proposed 2019-2020 Champions for Children Incentive Program.
Good evening, Board President, members of the board, Ms. Garza. We come to you to present our package. We are having to develop a school improvement plan for the federal government. The performance-based monitoring system, formerly known as the PBAMS, has been replaced by a new program called the RDA. And what this is, it's a accountability system on the federal side. It's like, you know how at the state we get an A through F rating, that's the state accountability? Well, this is the federal accountability. Because our district does receive Title I funds and we do get weighted funding for special populations, because we receive this funding, the federal government expects these students to have certain gains, and if they don't have those gains, then we get a performance level. The way it works with the RDA, formerly known as the PBAMS, is that the higher the number, the lower the performance. So what I provided to you all is like a quick sheet that gives you all the information in the report. I provided the full report as well, but so that you could see that we are having issues with our district in different programs. The performance level 2, we have it in special ed, we have it with our migrants, and we have it in career and technology. We have a performance level 3 and 4 in special ed, and then the subjects are denoted there. And then, of course, You don't want a performance level 4 because that is like the worst, or like I said, the higher the number, the lower the performance. Right now, the district it used to be called staged. It's no longer called stage, but the district has a performance level 3 because of the special ed program. So we are having to develop an SSP where we're going to have to come up with goals and objectives to try to get these special population students at least to perform and move up a performance level or 2. I provided you the performance level indicator by indicator on page, there's a page there, it says page 45, and it basically shows you the range that the students have to make as far as passing. And this is only based on passing scores. Growth is not taken into account here. If our students show growth, that does not help us when it comes to the federal government. It does help us in the state accountability side in our A through F, but it does not help us here. The only way that we can get ourselves out of having an RDA performance level 3 is that we get these special populations, specifically our special ed, because they have the highest performance level to perform and to pass the state assessments. So with that information, Mrs. Gonzalez will be providing you a plan that we think might help us try to get out of this dilemma that we find ourselves in.
Mr. Board President, members of the board, Ms. Garza, Superintendent, we are proposing that we want to create a Champions for Children incentive program for teachers, for campus administrators, and an additional compensation for the campus. We are looking to assist our special education students, migrant students, and English learners. The cost for this program would be $632,250. The cost for the administrator incentive program would be $146,098, and the cost for the campus incentive program would be $60,000. Funding will come from Title I Part A, Title I Part C, Title II, General 199, and SCE 199. We respectfully ask for your approval.
I move to approve this item as presented.
I second.
We have a motion by Dr. B, second by Mrs. Lopez.
Discussion, sir. One question.
Go ahead, sir.
For the non-tested areas, are we providing any funds for the non-tested area?
Not with this program.
Not with this program. Okay, thank you.
All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand. Motion dies.
Thank you.
Item 36, consider and take possible action on 2019-2020 RGCCISD migrant academic seminars.
Good evening, Mr. Board President, members of the board, Mr. Vilma Garza, Superintendent of Schools, community members. Based on our results-driven accountability report, the Migrant Education Program plans to hire top-notch educators in the levels of elementary, middle school, and high school to work with students in the areas of mathematics, reading, science, social studies, writing, English 1 and English 2, and of course, the Rio Grande City CISD Migrant Academic Seminars will incorporate hands-on activities, test content skills, mentorship experiences, team building activities. The plan is also designed to maintain the performance level at 0 and to improve those areas of need. It is the goal of the Migrant Education Program to be to engage in continuous improvement and maintain a proactive approach when it comes to our migrant students' academic and social and emotional well-being. The proposed 2019-2020 Migrant Academic Seminars will take place during the second semester, and the total cost will be $97,100, and funding will come from the Title I Part C Migrant. I respectfully recommend and submit for you the approval of the proposed 2019-2020 Migrant Academic Seminars.
Do we have a motion on item 36?
I move to approve this item as presented.
I second.
We have a motion by Dr. B, second by Mrs. Lopez. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand. Motion dies. Item 37, consider and take possible action on 2019-2020 RGCCISD Special Services Academic Conferences Program Design.
Good evening, Mr. Velasquez, School Board President, Board members, Ms. Garza, Superintendent of Schools, ladies and gentlemen. In an effort to provide remediation and intervention to all identified students receiving special education services at the elementary and middle school levels, the Special Education Program, in collaboration with the elementary and middle school principals, is submitting the instructional design proposal for the academic conferences. The instructional focus of the Saturday conferences is based on student-specific needs in the areas of reading, math, writing, and counseling, as stated in the overall instructional design that was submitted. The proposed academic conferences will take place throughout the 2020 spring semester, with a total of 4 Saturday conference sessions being offered for all campuses. The grand total for this project is $35,940, and funding will be provided through Title I Part A 211, State Bilingual Education 199, and Special Education 199, and General Fund 199. We respectfully recommend approval.
I move to approve this item as presented.
We have a motion by Dr. B, second by Mrs. Lopez. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand. Motion dies.
Thank you.
Item 38, consider and take possible action on RGCCISD Early College High School Exploration. Do we have a motion on item 38?
She's going to present.
Board President, members of the board, Ms. Garza, I come to you to ask you for permission to explore the option of having two early college high schools, one on the east side and one on the west side. All we are asking is for permission to explore the options as far as cost, feasibility, and what the pros and cons would be. The reason that we are asking for another designation is that our current accountability system is designed for our high school students to be college ready. And right now, when you look at the state accountability for all secondaries, and what I mean by secondaries, I mean high schools, it's very difficult for a comprehensive high school who does not have an early college designation to ever possibly earn an A as far as accountability is concerned, because the system is heavily weighted on something we call CCMR, which is a college readiness component. And because our comprehensive schools don't have this embedded in their curriculum, it is something that's very difficult to attain. So we are asking for permission to explore the options at this point.
I move to approve this item as presented.
I second.
We have a motion by Dr. B, second by Mrs. Lopez. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Discussion, sir?
Any
Please.
discussion?
Early college, I went to the AP banquet, we all three. They had a lot of people who graduated with AP awards. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, ID Academy is starting to bring in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade. And the only way we're going to be able to fight them is to have an early college, in my opinion. And to go out there and that early college has been basically something very good for our people here. And I just think that any ideas of trying to do away with it is only going to cause us irreparable harm as we move forward. And that's my comment. With that said, let's take a vote. A vote.
What do you mean taking away?
All those in favor, all those against?
What was that?
He's saying that we're taking away early college?
No, we're adding both high schools to become early college high schools.
We have an early college right next to the STC already.
My thing with, I think that's a good idea because the kids, especially from the east side, it takes almost an hour just to get, they lose 2 hours almost.
They still have to take courses at STC, sir.
But not as, all of them?
Quite a few.
Some can be online.
So you're going to still have to transport kids to the STC campus? Makes no
I'd
sense.
rather
There's an
5, 10 kids lose 2 hours a day than 50, 60.
The only thing is when they have the early college, they're there and they have the early college, they can walk to it. The other way, they're going to be having transported English 1 and English 2, English 3, history, chemistry. They're going to have to go all the way from La Gruya, transported back. It's going to be interesting. And I just say we have an early college right next. If you go to Laredo, Texas, the early college is inside the campus. If you go to Kingsville, the early college is inside the college. It's a great thing for our kids and well, I've already said my discussion. Let's just take a vote.
It's a survey.
Isn't that what
It's
we're
just-
trying to do? We're trying to put them inside the individual campuses. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That is correct.
In college. I'm saying right now, if you go to the early college in Laredo, Texas, the early college is inside International A&M. If you go to Kingsville, it's inside of A&I. The early colleges are, all the early colleges, the majority are next to universities or junior colleges, because a lot of the coursework has to be taken at that college. Anyway,
I think the reason that Ms. Garza wanted this item or had asked us to explore the option is that given the situation with the TCMR, there is no way that the comprehensive high schools will be able to attain an A because 40% of their grade comes from CCMR. And when you're educating the masses, the high school principals at the comprehensives can tell you that the majority of the kids will not be able to attain all the CCMR points. So that's something that we struggle with at the comprehensive high schools. We're addressing the issue and we're trying to do a better job. We were just wanting to see if having another designation would help us with that. The thing that happened is when the early college got its own number, all those kids that used to belong to the 2 comprehensive high schools, those comprehensive high schools no longer got credit for those kids in the accountability system. And the way the accountability system works is that it's almost like the blueprint of the early college high school fits perfectly with the CCMR and the accountability. So there's very few early college high schools that will not be able to attain an A. So what we're saying is that it's difficult for our other 2 high schools to ever attain an A.
well, I give compliments to Mr. Peña out there. He took a D or an F campus and made it a B campus. So it can be done. And to me, the early college is something that everybody looks forward to. It's something that
This is just a study, a survey, right?
It was just, we wanted to research the option, and Mr. Peña, Adolfo Peña, had asked what he had to do to make his campus an early college high school, because when he did the study, he found that there was no comprehensive high schools, very few in the state, in our area especially, that do have the A.
maybe we need to talk to our legislators to change that in the future, but our early college is, I call it a crown jewel. It helps a lot of, correct me wrong, the motto of the early college at the beginning was to get people who had never been to college inside that college. We are having kids or the kids of parents that had never attended college. That's a great idea. And to mess with that is totally wrong.
It's not messing with it, sir. It's increasing the opportunities for all children at both high schools. All school districts in the valley are turning to high schools to become early college high schools. It's just affording every child an opportunity.
Ma'am, you still have to transport them to STC to take classes. I mean,
Not necessarily all of them, sir. We could do online. We could have the professors come to our campuses. There's many options that we can.
Let me ask one
actually
question.
venture.
Do we have people that have applied with masters to STC to teach and they're denied time and time and time again, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
We do have the on-ramps program that's been very successful, and we don't even have a teacher, that needs to come to our campus.
Anyway, let's take a vote.
Oh, well.
Motion by Dr. B, second by Mrs. Lopez. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your left hand. Motion dies.
Mr. President, I'm going to leave. I'm tired, so the rest are reports.
Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
No, he's leaving.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Villarreal, second by Mr. Castillo. All in favor, raise your right hand. Meeting is adjourned.